All right, Daf Pei Bays. Tuesday's Daf. Yesterday we were talking about Shitas Rav Shimon, that Shchita she'eina ruya is leish meshchit, and therefore you won't be chayiv for Isaivias B'nai from the list in our Mishnah of all these things that are not considered a proper Shchita. Now we're picking up 3 lines from the bottom of Pei Aleph Amud Bays. One of the things in the list was a paras chatas. That's a para aduma that you shechted to get the A for para. That's included in the list of a Shchita she'eina ruya that you won't be chayiv for Isaivias B'nai. Frekta Gemaru paras chatas Shchita she'eina ruya. According to Rav Shimon, that won't be a case of Shchita ruya. Frekta I'll show you that a paraduma could potentially be shchita ru'uya and be mutter to eat the meat, because V'hatanya the Brisa says, Rabbi Shimon Aimer para metama tumas eichlin ha'il v'haisala shas ha'kosher. Even though you're not allowed to eat the paraduma after you shecht it, because it's hegdish, aber still has a halacha of eichlin, because it has its own shas ha'kosher, means it's possible. Moving over to Amud Aleph, where's that shas ha'kosher? Because v'omer Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, omer haya Rabbi Shimon, para niftis al gabe marachta. A paraduma could be niftis, it could be redeemed even after it was geshachten, when it comes to be put on the mizbeach, which is a reference to the halacha that where it's possible for this paraduma that you shechted to be niftis. What's the example? Let's say you shecht the paraduma, and then lo and behold, holy cow, quite literally, I find a better para aduma. So now what do you do with the one that you already shechted? Well, be paid it, and you can serve it for dinner. So it is possible for it to have this shas hakosher. Umemela, it has tumas eichlin. Umemela, it should be a shchita ru'uya. So why is Reb Shimon listing it as a shchita she'eina ru'uya? L'cher para aduma doesn't make sense to be in the list. To which the Gemara is masking that Omer of Shemen, par Abba Omer Rabbi Yochanan, you're right, paras chatas, ain't a Mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan takes it out of the Mishnah. Could be according to Rabbi Yochanan, it's not an authoritative Mishnah. Could be that Rabbi Yochanan is actually arguing with the Mishnah because he holds this is so mukhrach. It might be negate to that idea of Hamarayim arguing with Tanaim that they can't or they wouldn't. Rabbi Chanan at the end of Baba Basra writes that they wouldn't, but they could. But over here, Rabbi Yochanan felt compelled to do so. Frekting Amar Egla Arufa Lav Shchita Ru'uyihi. Another example in the list of Shchita she'eina ru'uya is chopping off the head of the Egla Arufa. In the Mishnah Masechta Saita says Nimtza Harag. Let's say you find this murderer. That's the whole reason you bring the Egla Arufa, because you didn't have the murderer. But now let's say you find him Adshilate Arefo Egla, until they decapitated the Egla Tetzevitira Be'eder. Just release it. But what do you see? That before you do the Arifa, the Egla Arufa is mutter, and therefore if you would shecht it, l'chayr be a shchita ru'uya. So why would the Mishnah list it amongst the things that are shchita she'eina ru'uya? To which Omer Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish mishum Rabbi Yanai Egla Arufa in a Mishnah in a Chanami. Also don't count that one. Frekting Gemara mi Omer Rabbi Yanai hachi. I've Omer Rabbi Yanai gvul shamati bo v'shachachti. I one time heard about that gvul, about that line that you can't cross, that the Egla Arufa will become usher, but I forgot what that is. I know it becomes usher b'hana, but at what point does it become usher b'hana? V'nazbin v'chavraya leimer, and all my chevra told me that you read dusel and nachalesa naisarta. When it goes down to nachalesa, that's when it becomes asur b'hana. Ve'amisa, if you tell me that Rabbi Yanai said there was a steer between the Mishnayos, Lishni, he should have said kan kadim yerida and kan achar yerida. So why did Rabbi Yanai have to say that it's eina Mishnah? Omer of Pinchas Berei de Rabbi Ami, anon mishmei de Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish masninan la. We learned this b'shem Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish and not b'shem Rabbi Yanai, that Egla Arufa eina Mishnah. But the Gemara's not so happy with that either, because Omer of Ashi ki kavidim beir of papi kashelon mi Omer Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish hachi I b'hait mar tzipayri mitzara me'emasai neser. And as we know, but when the mitzara has his tahara, one of the birds goes out free and one of them is killed. And Rabbi Yochanan, Amar Mishas Shchita, the one that is geshachtin becomes usher at its time of Shchita. For Rabbi Shimon Lakish, Amar Mishas Lakicha, when you take them, both birds become usher b'hana when you take the birds. V'amrina, and Lagabi this machlekes Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish, my time of Rabbi Shimon Lakish, because Gomer Kicha Kichem Egla Arufa. Just like Egla Arufa is going to be usher mechayim when you go down to Nachalesan, so too the tzipar mitzayra become usher even when they're alive. So what do you see? That according to Reish Lakish, the Egla Arufa becomes usher b'hana bechayev. So l'charia, the Egla Arufa becomes usher b'hana when it goes down to the Nachalesan, and therefore it's always a shchita she'eina ru'uya. So since you have that eitzah, why would Reish Lakish now say that it's eina Mishnah? Say Ela Omer Reb Chia bar Abba Omer Rabbi Yochanan. It was Reb Chia bar Abba said b'shem Rabbi Yochanan that Egla Arufa is eina Mishnah, but in a Chanami, Reb Yanai and Reish Lakish hold that there is an option for the Egla Arufa to be usher b'hana once it goes down to the Nachalesan, and therefore that's why it's a shchita she'eina ru'uya and can be in our Mishnah. Zok the next Mishnah. Shnayim shalakhu para ubno. Let's say 2 people bought an oisoi and it's benai, and now the question is who gets to shecht it and who doesn't. So it's basically first come first serve. Eza shalakach rishain yishched rishain v'im kodam hasheni zacha. But if the second one bought the animal first and shechted already, he's already zeicha. Omer of Yosef le'inyan dina tanan. We're not talking about the isser of oisoi v'es benai. We're really talking about the schus. It's more of a choshen mishpatik halacha, like which guy gets to shecht first. Tana we learned in the Brisa im kodam hasheni hareze zariz v'niskar. He's considered like a zariz and he's niskar and he profits. What does he profit? Meaning he gets to eat the meat. meat. And we're masber zar is deloya v'disura, and nisker dika achol bisra, that he gets to eat that meat. And this is where the Bahag gets the halacha from, that if you do shecht an Isaivias B'nai, you're not allowed to eat it that day. It's like a Maisa Shabbos, you're not allowed to eat it that day. That's why we're saying here, v'nisker dika achol bisra, that you're allowed to eat the meat. The Rambam doesn't hold that way. The Rambam holds Isaivias B'nai, hey, yes, you're going to get malchus, but you're still allowed to eat the meat. Doesn't answer the flesh. But this is an important line of the Gemara for that shita. So the Mishnah, shachat parav achar kach shnei boneha. Let's say you shecht the cow and then both of its boneha on the same day. So now you've done 2 isurim of Isaivias B'nai, even though there's only one mother. So the Mishnah, seifik shmeinim, you're going to get 2 sets of malchus. Shachat shnei boneha v'achar kach shachta. Let's say you shecht the 2 little biblach and then the mother. Seifik asar aboim, because now you've only done 1 isur of Isaivias B'nai, because there's technically only 1 maisa isur of shchita. Shachta ves bita ves bas bita. Let's say you shecht a cow, its daughter and its eneklet on the same day. So you've done 2 generations of cows, and there's 2 isurei shchita, therefore seifik shmeinim. Shachta ves bas bita. Let's say I shecht the mother and then the enekel. V'achar kach shachat bita, and then I shecht the middle generation, the daughter afterwards. Then seifik asar aboim, because again, there's only 1 maisa shchita be'isur. But Sumchas Amar, Mishamar b'meir, seifik shmeinim. Sumchas has this fascinating shita that says that with this 1 maisa shchita, you'll be over for both the mother and for the enekel, and therefore you're going to get 2 sets of malchus. And we're going to talk more about Sumchas in the Gemara now, but it's very possible that Sumchas is arguing on the Reisha of the Mishnah also. So now the Gemara wants to know, why are you going to get malchus if you first shecht the children and then you shecht the mother? Amai, why do you get malchus? It's not the other way around. It's not the children then the mother, to which the Gemara answers, no, it's not true. Because the Tanya, the Brisa says, in that direction. Let's say you go up a generation after you shecht the child. When the Torah says, don't shecht it. In Lashon Rabim, Harei Kan Shnayim, it sounds like there are multiple cases that you would want to shecht. HaKetzad, what's that case talking about? Echad HaShechet as Hapara, V'echad HaShechet as Ima, or V'echad HaShechet as B'nah, Shnayim Achreinim Chayav. In the last 2 cases of Shechita are going to be Chayav for Isaivias B'nai. So you see that if you shecht a parent and its offspring on the same day, it'll be Asar al Isaivias B'nai, irrespective of what direction and which one got shechted first. Turning over to Talmud Beis, but what do you mean you're learning it from Leisishchatu? Hami boile legufei, I needed to tell me the Isser of Isaivias B'nai. How do you make a drasha from that pasuk? And for the Gemara, no, because I can make an extra drasha, because Im kein lichtev loy sishchet. My loy sishchatu. What's the Lashon Rabbim of loy sishchatu? Must be telling you the Chiddush that if you shech the mother and its offspring, or the offspring and the mother, both are going to be chayiv. It doesn't matter what order you do them in. Frek the Gemara. Vakati mi boile, I still need the Lashon Rabbim for a different halacha. Because of Rachman loy sishchet havamina chad in trei loy. But let's say 2 different people might be putter. Maybe it's only an Isser for the same guy to shech the mother and child animal. So Kosav Rachman lo sishchatu va'afilu trei, that even 2 different people who have no shaykhs to each other, but they each bought the mother and offspring animal, they'll be chayiv. And for the Gemara, how is it not used up for that? Because im kein lichtev loy yishachetu, that they should not be geshachten, that the Lashon Rabbim is going on the animals. My lo sishchatu, which sounds like you, Lashon Rabbim, should not shecht, which sounds like we're talking about the shaykhtim themselves. Shmami natarti, that we're talking about both halachas, that Isaivias B'nai is usher also for 2 different people, and also it tells you that it doesn't matter the direction, mother, child, or child, mother. Then the Mishnah had said, Shachtav es bas bita v'chulhu, that if you shecht the grandmother animal and then the anical animal and then you shecht the bas, you're only going to get 1 set of malchus, but Zok Simchas B'Shem Remeir, you're going to get 80 malchus. Amar le a bailer of Yosef. My time is a Simchas. Why does Simchas hold you get 2 sets of malchus? Is it because Kosavar Sumchis Achal Shnei Zeisechel Behelam Echad Chayiv Shtei Chatais, that this is a halacha b'chol terakula, that if you do an avera twice in 1 helam, you're going to be chayiv 2 carbon chatas, and therefore when the guy shechts the bas, you're chayiv for the mama and for the enakel, because you're doing 2 averas with 1 maisa. And by emes, you can tell me Sumchis is shita anywhere in Shas, and as Rashi explains, it would have been a bigger chiddush to say it where it's not gufin muchulakin, because over here Meisvar, there's more of a reason to give multiple makas because of the gufin muchulakin. V'hayda kamashmal labaha is lohidiyach koiched derabanan, to say that Asavias B'nai the afal gav the gufin muchulakin, but still pat for rabbanan. According to the rabban, you're only going to be chayiv 1 set of malchus. Oy dilma kosaver simchas. Maybe really simchas holds achol shnei zeisechelev behelam echad ein chayiv alachas. Maybe this is not a kol tarakula dikadin, and simchas is dafka saying it in this halacha v'hocha hainu taima hoyel v'gufin muchulakin hagufa, because of the fact that it's 2 different animals. That's why simchas holds uniquely here. You're going to be chayiv 2 sets of malchus. To which Rav Yosef says back, Amar Lei says back to Abaye in kosaver achol shnei zeisechelev behelam echad chayiv shtei chatois. Really, Sumchas holds it's a kol tarakula dikashita. If you eat 2 zaysim of chaylev in 1 helim, you're chayiv 2 karbanas. And mimaya, how do I know that that's what Sumchas holds? Because minitanya hazareya kilayim loika. If someone plants kilayim twice, you're gonna be chayiv malchus. So my loika, what does it mean he gets malchus? So ilay malaika achas pshita. Obviously, you get malchus. The Bryce is not telling us anything then. Void my kilayim. What's the double lashon? Ela pshita shtei malchus. It must be that the Bryce is telling telling us that you get two sets of malchus. So now, by my askinen, how do you get two sets of malchus? If it's two completely independent averis. So Tanina, we already learned this in the Mishnah Masechta Makis, that Nazir shahaisa shaisa yain kol hayayim ein a chayiv alachas. A Nazir sitting at the bar all day and drinking wine nonstop is only going to be chayiv one set of malchus, even though he's doing it multiple times. He only got one hasra. But Omru loy al tishtevu shaisa. Let's say he gets a hasra and then he continues to drink, and then in Nachamal al tishtevu shaisa then chayiv al kolachas va'achas. Each malchus is separated by an independent hasra, so that's also not going to be a chiddush. El pshita b'basachas ubasra achas. We're talking about where he planted two sets of kilayim with one hasra. In that case, the Bryce is saying you get two sets of malchus. But money, who's that going like? If you tell me it's the Rabbanan who argue with Sumchas, so hashta ba'hosim dugu from muchalokim patri Rabbanan. Certainly when the Rabbanan are going to even patr by sevias benoi, hachalei kol shekain, you're only going to get one malchus for the kilayim. Elalav Sumchasi must be that Bryce. It must be shita Sumchas that says that if you do multiple averis, not only when it's gufa muchalokim, like the case of our Mishnah, but even when they're not gufa muchalokim, you will be chayev. To which Abaye says, Loi, le'olam Rabbanan. Really, that Bryce can be shitas Rabbanan by the kilayim and kilayim. Umilsa agavorcha kamash malan tiika trei gavni kilayim. There are really two different kinds of kilayim, because there's two different kinds of kilei akarim when you're planting chitim or sa'irim inside the vineyard. Ulafukim Rabbaishia, Yom Rabbaishia, ad sheyizra chita usa'ira v'chartzon b'mapoilas yad. The only time you're really chayev for kilei akarim is when you plant wheat, barley, and grapes all at the same time. Kamash malan. So connected that sheet the Bryce is telling us the chizara chita v'chartzon v'sa'ira v'chartzon nami mechayev. If you plant wheat and the chartzon and the grapes together, or sa'ira and the grapes together, you're going to be chayev from malchus for kilayim in the klei akarim. Toshmals, try to bring another raya that Sumchis holds that if you do multiple averis in one helem or with one hasra, you're going to be chayav each time. Because the Mishnah is going to say later on, ochel mizeh kezayis, umizeh kezayis, if you eat, and this Mishnah is talking about gid hanosha, if you eat a kezayis of the gid hanosha on one side, and you eat another kezayis on the left side of the gid hanosha, seifik shmeinim, you're going to get two sets of malchus. Rabbi Yehuda Eimer, in a seifik el arboim, you're only going to get one set of malchus. Hey chidami, what's the case talking about? Ilim b'zeh achar ubishtei hasra'is. If you're telling me that he ate one of these gid hanoshas after eating from the other one, and each hasra was that he shouldn't eat the other gid hanosha, so my time at Rabbi Yehuda, what's prat in Rabbi Yehuda that you'd even be chayiv one set of malchus? It's l'chera hasra safeki, because as the Gemara is going to say later on Daf Tzadi, Rabbi Yehuda might be mesupik which of the gid hanoshas is going to be osir min hatayra, on the right or the left side of the animal, and which one's only in isur drabanan, and therefore the masra can't say b'teres vadai that if he eats this he's going to get malchus, even though he ate both of them one after the other. But lamaisa, each independent hasra is a hasra safek. V'shaminan leil Rabbi Yehuda damar hasra safek leish me'asra. The Tanya, as we learned in the Brisa, lagabe hasra safek hika es zeh v'chazer hika zeh. Let's say you have a case of a kid that we're mesupik who his father is, and we've got these two men, and he's hika zeh and he hits both of them one after the other. So kilo zeh v'chazer kilo zeh, or he does a klola on both of them, or shika shneim b'basachas, or oisha kilo shneim b'basachas. In all those cases, chayiv, because he certainly was over the yisur deraisa. But Rabbi Yehuda Eimer b'basachas chayiv b'zeh achar zeh is potter, because each one of the hasrais is a hasra safek. So that was a digression, but it just establishes Rabbi Yehuda shita that a hasra safek is leish me'asra. So getting back to our gid hanosha, el pshita b'basachas u'basra achas, must be the Mishnah is talking about where you ate both of these gid hanoshas together with one set of hasra for both meisim. And if that's the case, Rabbi Yehuda holds you're going to be chayiv a single set of malchus. But the Tanakama holds you get two sets of malchus. So man Tanakama, ilem rabbanan de pligei le simchas. Well, that's not going to work, because as we just said beforehand, hashtu ma'asim de gufim muchalokim patri rabbanan, by our case of Isaiah benaya, hachalei kol shekain that you should be potter. When it's not gufim muchalokim, it's less of a reason to get more than one malchus. Elalav sumchasi, it must be it's sumchas that if you do multiple averis every single time, you're going to get a separate case of malchus, even though it's not gufim muchalokim. Sluchari of a raya, to which the Gemara says nishkein raya, because lightly olam bezachar zat v'rabbanan v'aytana savar look idach tana de Rabbi Yehuda, and it could be that tana, that Mishnah is another version of shitas Rabbi Yehuda de Amar hasra safek shmei hasra, and that's why you're going to be chayiv for each maisa. And we're going to continue talking about this more tomorrow, but we'll stop here for now.